Hello, everybody. To all those watching the VODs later, and to anyone watching live, welcome to yet again another poorly conceived idea by me. I realized for a while I've literally just been doing the news only for radio, and when it comes time to just package all of that into a radio archive, it's not that big of a deal, but I sometimes learn more after doing the stories, and sometimes there are other things that I can't quite put into a more concise radio broadcast, and I think other times as well there's some things that I genuinely miss and I don't get time to cover, or I don't miss and I just can't cover because they're more nuanced. So I was thinking to myself, I generally like to stream on Tuesdays after work, and I'm like, maybe I could do something. And so we'll test this to see how this works. Or how this goes. Hello, Christian, indeed, for Cosmodon. Hello to all the lurkers out there. So, essentially, how I plan to do this is I'm going to have slides, essentially, and I'm going to roughly follow my radio script and talk about the stories that I covered at least this week, and also touch upon some of the ones that I didn't, if I get to them. And if there's anything that anyone wants covered, or you want me to look into, and you think it's appropriate, feel free to shout it out. And, I'll definitely let you know if I know more, or if I should maybe look into it. Just let me know. It's all good. Hopefully, looks like the sound levels are all right. If anything doesn't sound good, just let me know. So, the big top story for this week. Hello, just had water. The big thing is the big debacle. Now, this only affected Nordinar, and a very lengthy announcement post was put into the server status channel of the Discord, and I went pretty deep with this story. Boosting TW, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Thank you. Appreciate that. So, yeah, I really looked into this story, and I got to talk to the real muckety mucks of Turtle WoW, because I wanted to know more in depth what happened, and I wanted to know, for anyone who was affected by this, this was a pretty serious issue. Some people were legitimately losing items. Some people were technically legitimately duplicating items. Players were losing progress on quests. People were losing auction house postings and successful successful bids or buyouts on auction house stuff. This is only on Nordinar. And so when I first heard about this story, my first suspicion was that it had to do with something I covered a month ago, which pretty much was confirmed here. You'll see in the explanation that Acalix gives, the GUID issue was addressed by assigning unused GUID ranges on every server boot, covering 2 million. And the solution worked well initially, but appears somehow exceeded its value within just a couple days of uptime. So, some of the numbers on this which I think it was kind of interesting because a lot of my questions and poking, I got essentially a very similar version of this. And some people might be curious, what do all these numbers mean? Why does it matter? How does this happen? So just for some background, the Turtle WoW client is based on vMangos, which is as faithful a reproduction of the vanilla client as is available to the open source world, you could say. So this includes some of the limitations. Now, you might not be thinking about this, but on the back end, everything characters do, to some extent, is recorded on database. There's SQL database management software that's used. One of the things that is recorded on these databases is items, which is by far the one thing that gets the most entries on a database. Now, because that vMangos is such a faithful reproduction, this also means that the database is based on 32-bit architecture, which, if I'm being perfectly honest, for most private servers, especially ones running vMangos, you'd never bump into this issue. But Nordinar has been around since late 2018. So that means we have years and years of history on the server, with huge population influxes, players coming and going. So some of the limitations that I had a little thing prepared here. Flashbang warning. Excuse me, I got a little bit of a dry throat. So, this is from a question posted 7 years ago. And it was someone who was asking, is there a technical reason why 32-bit Windows is limited to 4 gigabytes of RAM? Now, why this matters is because the old database is based off of, essentially it has a 32-bit system, the database does. And what this means is, it's, right here. 2 to the 32 equals 4.2 billion. Now, why that matters is Nordinar's item entries, or GUIDs, on Sunday exceeded 4.2 billion. The team knew that they were getting close, and so they did a little bit of a very old account, unused accounts, kind of a purge, a pruning of old accounts to free up some space on the database. And essentially they're like, we got 2 million, and kind of the plan is that if it comes up, like that 2 million is going to be refreshed every time the server resets. However, when the initial fix happened, it was right around the time when the holidays were starting, which traditionally is a time when a lot of players don't play as often, and with the release of all the Wintervale stuff, which had a number of issues, caused the server to reset a lot. So that 2 million and some change never really got challenged because it the server didn't stay up for like a whole week, and there were less players. So, I don't understand, man. My voice is fine all day. So what happened was, on Sunday, the database was starting to freak out. It had GUIDs and it didn't have anywhere to put them. So random stuff started happening, because anytime you have a database issues like that, weird things happen. Stuff breaks, and you had essentially what happened to Sunday to people on Northernar. Now, going back to this announcement, they did say, make sure. If you were affected, to ticket any issues you had. And I've heard rumor, I don't know if it's confirmed, it might be somewhere else. I've heard rumor, so take this as unconfirmed for right now, that yes, no, actually it's at the beginning. So as compensation, if you're on Northernar, right here, even if you weren't affected, you'll be getting 50 turtle tokens, and 150 to those who were directly impacted. So this is like a little, we're sorry. So for most people, hey, this is kind of where the story ends. But I've been on the server for long enough that I was kind of hounding the team for more answers as to what they're going to be doing going forward. And my understanding, and I got a lot of this information directly from the people that were in charge of putting these changes in, is that every time the server starts up, it's going to dynamically create additional GUIDs. And I think it's something like, let me just get my notes out here. Sorry, I know you guys can't see the notes, but okay, should be good there. So every time the server reloads, it will create 2 billion additional GUIDs. And based on the numbers that were shared here, that would mean that roughly the server could be up for 200 days before it would reach that limit again. Which isn't going to happen because there's a weekly reset. And I wanted to know something else too, because I'm like, this seems like a solution. That's awesome to hear there's a solution. Hey, Sonic. I'm like, hey, that's great. There's a solution that's in the works. Like, what if this messes up? What if there's issues with this? What other protections are there for the players in Northernar? And what I also got was that if the database has any other issues with assigning any sort of database entries, there's now automatic shutdown protocols that will obviously shut down Northernar, which will be annoying for us, but it does mean there won't be 6 hours of uptime with the database just assigning stuff willy-nilly and everyone getting really frustrated. So, I think that's a step in the right direction. And, for what it's worth, I kind of feel for the team on this one. It's tough. vMangos wasn't made to do this. Nordinar is longer lived and more popular than probably any server that runs vMangos. I think. I might be incorrect. Like maybe some other older historical server might have had more popularity, but I don't think any vMango server has been around as long as Turtle WoW. So they're in uncharted territory. So I don't envy the position of, hey, we have a problem that no one ever has had. How do we fix it? But I think this is a good step in the right direction. So just as a reminder, if you play on Nordinar, check your inventories, check your auction listings. If you have any evidence that something did happen, do make a report. And I will caution specifically, you'll see here, please continue ticketing any items you lost. However, remember that we have been cross-referencing logs and will punish those who attempt to defraud our support team for free gear. That's a very real threat. I've heard both from the team and some behind-the-scenes sources saying people have been banned for trying to scam the team. Why would you try it? They have all the documents. Like, try going for a scam that's a little... I don't know, man. Just don't try it. Yeah, try a different scam. That's all I'm saying. Try one where you have a chance of getting away with it. I mean, maybe you would, but let me just put it to you this way. The team will go over their stuff after the fact. So you might think you got away clean for like a month. I remember when they had the problem with the Goblin brainwashing machine. For those who remember, what the additional specs when they put those in, the machines were giving you money. Like for real, they were giving you money rather than making you spend it. The team spent like 2 weeks like loan sharks shaking down players who got that money. I'm not even joking. So, hey, just be careful. Yeah, Sonic, that's true. So I don't think they, as I was touching on earlier, this is based on vMangos, which is supposed to be a pretty faithful representation of vanilla WoW, so it's 32-bit architecture. So, it's not designed for this, but that's specifically because Nordinar was way more successful than probably any vMangos client server has a right being. And they did try to be proactive, but it was too little too late. So, oftentimes things with Turtle WoW come down to they have a bad client, which is why Turtle 2.0 is such a big deal, because they can modernize so many things. And this is more of a back-end issue, but it's another example of that exact issue. So that's the database story from this week. The other big news story that I wanted to touch on was this one. So, also in the server status channel, this was affecting, I'm pretty sure, all of the EU servers. I don't think it was affecting SEA servers. I don't know how to check on that, but so this is like middle of last week to late middle last week. The sign-in servers were having issues. If you were trying to sign in, they were you'd either be timed out or it would be really slow. And I don't think they may have in some channels acknowledged it. Hey, Ricardon. Yeah, I hope you're excited. So, for what it's worth, what happened here was that it was a DDoS attack. I got a lot of the more spicy, salacious details of stuff going on in the background. I can't share all that stuff. I was asked not to. And generally, when anyone is made a victim of an attack, I will respect the desires of the victim. And so they ask that I don't share certain details, but I will at least say that this was a very discouraging thing to see, and the team did a pretty good job here. I did get to see a lot of the more technical details, which is great, because I have no idea what I'm looking at half the time with this stuff. You know, I'm talking to like some network specialist, and they're showing me numbers, and I'm like, those numbers do look high. But I do have some stuff to share. This was, I think, taken from their Cloudflare thing. And 49.14 million packets rejected. I don't know. I don't feel like there's that many people trying to connect to Turtle WoW services. And 19 attacks detected. So there definitely was something going on. Here, if I remember correctly, this was an image showing like right when the spike in calls on the server essentially started, and you can see like this massive spike in requests. Data transfer didn't change much because they weren't really transferring a lot of data. It was mostly just junk data being thrown at the server, and the server just being like, eh. And that, I guess that's kind of how DDoS attacks work to some extent. I used to know more about them, but that was like oddly like 15, 20 years ago. And I mean, there's still an attack vector, but let's say I have one other image here. This is obviously the person speaking, their name was taken out of this, but they banned 69,000 IPs in total. Some of these IPs open several thousand connections, hitting us with 10K packets per second. You can do the math. True story, I can't. Like, I guess that's a lot. I guess it's a lot. But, yeah, the silver lining here is that although the sign-in servers did have a lot of stress on them, there wasn't really much service interruption. There was like a little slowdown specifically with the sign-in servers, but everything kind of seemed to go all right compared to the debacle of Northernar on Sunday. This is kind of more of a minor story, and periodically the Turtle network is attacked. So sorry, I just saw some questions. I'll take a look at those, and then we'll move on to some Market Watch stuff after. Dominar Rigel asks, have they identified why Battleground player limits have been incorrect for over a year? If Raid had a player limit issue, it would be fixed in a day. devs don't give an F about PvPers. I mean, I've heard a lot about this story. I know the team's aware of it. I don't know why that hasn't been fixed. And for anyone who isn't aware of what this issue that Dominar's speaking of, so traditionally, if you go into a battleground, you have your 10v10, 15v, or is it 20v20 in AB, and then it's 40v40 in AV. So, especially in the smaller battlegrounds, what's been happening is more like in AV, if it's like a 35 versus 37, it's like whatever. But in the smaller battlegrounds, if it's like a 5v10, that's a whole different ball of wax. And situations like that have been happening, and it's not great. I mean, not to put it lightly, I don't know why it hasn't been fixed. I mean, I'll be honest, it's something that, yeah, I can tell you right now, like Dominar, there are lots of things, there are literally some things that I have given them the solution to. I literally have done all the work and then just said, here, put it in the game. And it just hasn't happened yet. So, I don't know. I really can't answer that question. By the way, I'm speaking of a nice quality of life change. I'm talking about icons in games that are overused in a lot of situations. So like ground scorpock assay, time lost sand, Ungoro soil, all having the same icon. So I think I made something like 24 to 30. I went into the icon resource. I designed them exactly to the specifications that were needed, and I made redesigns of them, and I sent them in. Like, I did that back last April. And this is just a simple matter of just putting it into the game. And that hasn't been done. So, I don't know. I can't answer that question. I mean, Dominar, you're preaching to the choir in this one. I don't even do that many battlegrounds, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong that it happens and that it should have been rectified. Oh yeah, Eric, by the way, that was exactly why I started getting spicy with them. I'm like, you guys recolored the tier gear icons before you recolored limited invulnerability potions looking identical to Flask of Titans. I could tell you which one's more important, because if you get in a bind and you panic and click the wrong icon, you just wasted a bunch of gold. And also, there's people that have some level of color blindness, so stuff that's on the red-green spectrum especially, which happens quite a bit. If you just go based on icons, now, don't get me wrong, some of that's a skill issue, right? Know where your icons are. Read them before you use them. But this is just simple quality of life change. It's not, I'm not redesigning the game, you know? So, I mean, Dominar, so I think incompetence is a little uncharitable at times, because there are very competent people on the team. I think at times there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and there are a lot of different priorities. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I literally have access to some of those dev channels. I lose track and I can see them all. There are so many fires that happen all the time, and like a good example, and I know we're kind of in tangent territory, but I think this is worth talking about. If you've played a shaman, whether enhancement or elemental, this doesn't really affect resto, but the clear casting talent has been bugged pretty much since the since class changes. And I play a good amount of shaman, so I was literally helping the people that were trying to work on this issue, and I was reporting back to like, hey, this is what I'm seeing, this is what... Now, what was happening was, generally with shamans, you get 2 charges of clear casting, and you lose a stack when you cast a spell. And what was happening was, you would lose a stack when you cast a spell, and when it would hit, so you wouldn't get the additional mana reduction, which really hurt shaman that really need that clear casting. So this problem, which at the outset looks super simple, I got into some of the weeds of that solution, and it was very complicated. Not only was it complicated to like identify what was causing it, it was also complicated to figure out the solution, and it was happening with other spell effects too. So all I'm going to say, Dominar, is that sometimes some of the solutions are very difficult to discern and ship solutions for, and that can sometimes be the issue, and they have to wait until a time when they can focus down that. So incompetence, I don't think is necessarily fair. I just think that it hasn't been a priority, and I think that sucks if you're a PvP player who really enjoys Battlegrounds. You know, maybe I can look into it some more and see kind of what the issue is, and I could talk about it some more later. I haven't done a ton of research on it. I've checked in every now and then. Most of what I've gotten is, yeah, we're aware of it. And at least awareness is half the issue. So, well, yeah, but you see, here's the thing, Dominar. For 2 to 3 weeks, they said they solved the clear casting issue. Now, here's what happens. So, they have a private test realm where they make solutions, and then what will happen is, because you have to remember, making a fix to anything has multiple stages. First, there's the identification of it, then there's the replication of it. You have to like make sure that it's not just that person, that it's happening for other people, because sometimes weird stuff can happen. Like it can literally just be a hardware issue, and I'm talking more broadly, mind you. But yeah, so you have to be able to replicate it. Then you have to essentially figure out what's happening. So that takes a lot of research. Some issues are like simple, like, oh, hey, someone just put a hyphen where they shouldn't have. Okay, that's easy fix. Some are like, we have an entire code-based back-end thing that would completely need to be restructured. And that would take lots of work. I think when I get to that point, I don't know where the battleground issue is at that point. I know it's identified and I know it's been replicated, but I don't know how difficult the solution is. And they can sometimes make a solution on their private test realm, but for a variety. Now, just because you make a solution doesn't mean that it's ready to ship. Because when you ship solutions without testing them properly, then you can cause other problems. And that's another thing to keep in mind. Like, this stuff isn't simple, and there's a lot of things working against the team. But see now, Dominar, that is a little unfair because I was able to make new icons. It's not hard. But maybe the solution to the Battlegrounds thing is difficult to deploy. So, not all problems are created equal. Well, yeah, yep, that's true. That's true as well, Sonic. I mean, who knows? But I'll tell you this, Dominar. I mean, you're not the first person. I've been hearing about this for a while, so I'll try bugging the devs about it. I'll even hold on, I have a little notepad over here. I'll put this down as literally things to bug the team about. And, you know, at the least, I can maybe broadcast what's going on with it. Well, Dominar, listen. Sometimes I mute the PvP channels. So some of y'all pretty spicy. But no, I mean, I think everyone in their community has a right to speak, and everyone in their community should have a right to point out issues. I think that's fair, and I don't think you're crazy for that. But yeah, I'll bug them about it. We'll see what I can. I'll shake the tree and see what falls out. Sorry, there was a while ago, before I went into this long tangent, I saw from Eric S. was asking, do you know when Kara 40 is? No, I don't. And I'm going to be honest. So the plan with Kara 40 opening is that they were going to do class changes, and then they were going to slowly adjust things within the classes to make sure it's kind of at where they want it to be. And then when they had some level of stability with the classes, they were going to open up Kara 40. And the reason I say I hope it's later than sooner is just because there are still some lingering issues with the new things added to classes that I feel like haven't had enough time to breathe to sort of reach a level of stability that I think they want to open Kara 40. That being said, I haven't heard any date, and I haven't heard any rumored date. And as far as I'm aware, there is substantial amounts of testing that's already been done. New areas, stuff like that, that's being developed right now as we speak. So I don't know, but you know, we'll see what happens. Check any other. Oh, hi Nixius and Bori, hello. Yeah. They deleted the news channel because there was no news. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure the next content patch they have coming out, they're going to do that tower thing they had talked about. I'm not sure, though. But I know there's been, like, there are certainly members of the team that are very pro PvP. And you'll know them because they're usually the ones that interact with the PvPers. Just like your Giors and me will interact with the RPers. You know, devs don't play favorites; they just play the game, and they have their favorite way to play the game. Barack says, I'm late to the stream, but today I lost 20 nature protection pots when mailing them from one character to another on my account. I made a GM ticket and they said, give them 10 days to look into it. So, well, I mean, Brax, it was the first thing we touched on, but as a reminder for anyone dropping by, in the server announcement channel, looks like you will be eligible for 150 of those turtle coins, and continue ticketing any item you lost. However, remember that we have been cross-referencing logs, so make sure it is indeed what you lost, and hopefully they'll rectify it. Yeah, Nixius, what I'm talking about is an open world PvP objective. I'm not sure where it's supposed to be, or I think there might be multiple spots in the world. It's something that's been touched on before. If you dig through the Discord, you can probably find it. The idea, when it was first posited, I remember Acalix talking about how, like, it essentially gives a rend buff out to the winning faction. The team is very pro-world PvP at times, but I think they want to make some more incentives for it. Yeah, exactly, Nixius, yeah. All right. I think I'm all caught up here. All right, I'm going to just move over to... Where is it? Where is it? No, not that one. Not that one. This one? Ah, yes. Just going to talk about the market a little bit. So, I'm going to talk about Telebim, and then I'll talk about Nordinar. I have a couple small stories, nothing too crazy. Let me run through this, and then we could talk about more stuff. So this is... Let me just... Whoop. Okay. Hopefully that looks a little better. Okay. Also, shout out to Sonic if you're watching. I still use that wonderful script you made me. So here we have the... this is the Alliance side of Telebim. Over the last month, it's been... Now, we're going to see this multiple times. Right around the holidays, there's just a slump in players. It happens, and it usually affects the market in a negative way. You can see right around the week before Christmas, fell off a cliff a little bit, and then fell down, went back up again. Oddly enough, now I do want everyone here to note the scale difference. So on the Alliance, it went from a little over 5 to 4.2. For the Horde, it was at 5. And then right around Christmas went almost to 7.5 and then went back down to 5 again. So this is something that specifically happens a lot on Telebim, still because it's a much smaller market. One of the reasons for skyrocketing prices you'll see stuff like that, there might even be less players playing. But sometimes what happens is this makes a market scarcity that makes his prices go way too high, because this measures the average daily price of items. So sometimes you'll see stuff like this happening. The interesting story I pulled out of Telebim was, let's take a look at the tailoring for the Alliance side. This is an interesting story of market arbitrage, if you know what that is. If you don't, it's pretty simple. If the Alliance has something that's worth a lot of money, the Horde side can take theirs if it's worth a lot less, and then use the neutral auction house to move it over to make money, even though you lose some money on the transition from the neutral auction house. And this is a particular instance where you're going to see it very clearly. So, it was under a gold, then it almost shot up all the way to a gold, right? Over on the Horde side, it was falling, and then right around the same time, see this time period right here? I'm trying to focus like right around here, January 8th. See in January 8th here, on the Alliance side, it was almost up to a full gold. And then you'll see right here, it was pretty low. It was almost half as expensive on the Horde side. And you see this little bump up that happens? That's because people started buying it from the Horde side, and you'll see the price go up, right? Pay attention. This is like just under 8 gold. And by the end of this week, the prices started matching again. So this is a clear sign that there definitely are people that are playing the markets. This is mostly Mooncloth where this is happening, because that's like the big tailoring item. So you can see right here that there are definitely people who take advantage of market arbitrage on Telebim, which I think is pretty cool. It's something that you don't get to play around with in Nordinar. There's just one auction house. So yeah, I mean, if you're in Telebim, check both sides. If you have a lot of something and you see a price you don't like, check the other side. See if after you move it from the neutral auction house, if you can actually make more money selling it on the other side, which I do believe is not against any rules. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but I'm almost sure because it happens and I literally have evidence of it happening. So if it's not, Turtle Team, hey. So that's what I had for Telebim. This was the Nordinar monthly. Well, it's not monthly. It's the last 30 days. But again, right here, it was going up. Here comes the holidays. Less players, less players. Here's the after New Year's. Skyrockets. Exactly. This isn't financial advice. I'm not a fiduciary. So, very interesting story here. I don't even think I'm going to actually grab the image because I think it's worth showing how crazy this is. S&V. Oh, I have to do that. All right. The reason I want to highlight this, so right here, you see what it looks pretty flat, but these prices, especially right around the beginning of the year, the fact that it's under 7 gold is crazy because here's what happened over the last year. This is a crazy slump, and this is 51 weeks. I don't know why sometimes the script gets a little squirrely, but I've been collecting all this data since December of 2023. So, I mean, this drop off around November was downright historic, and it's seeming to rebound again. So, I mean, it's actually a good time if you're buying a lot of stuff. Prices are across the board way more cheap. There's certainly market sectors that's not where that's happening, but I thought it was interesting that, I mean, even before this, I think these prices are low. I don't have as good of comparisons, but if I go as far back as December, another interesting thing, see how it ends at January 15th? I think if I go a little earlier, the prices go down again. And I think we saw this last year. So this is a pretty normal cycle we see happening. So, you know, just something interesting. I mean, for a long-time veteran, maybe you've noticed, but it's certainly something that if you're a long-time investor, keep it in mind. All right. The interesting story of the week I wanted to point out on Nordinar. We see this is just the week of enchanting on Nordinar. It climbed about like 10%-ish. And this is enchanting. Enchanting's been on a wild ride since November. So we look at, this is about 3 months. So right around here is right before the patch drop where all the alternate tier gear was released. Now, if you remember, if there's a bunch of new gear that just gets dropped, what happens is, sorry, did my music just stop for some reason? Oh, sorry. That threw me off. Huh? my headset die? Oh, you guys are still hearing music. Maybe I hit it? Sorry, that's throwing me off. I'm used to, like, hearing the music with you guys. Okay, I don't quite know. Are you guys still hearing the music? You must be. Okay, music's up. I, for some reason, cannot hear it. Let me just check something here. It's monitor and output? Yeah, okay. Hold on, let me mute it and turn it back on again. Yep, I have no idea why. Let me know if the music stops. I just literally cannot hear it now. Maybe it's over in... Oh, yeah. And... Yeah. Oh. Sound settings. Oh, okay, I got it. Some button or combination of buttons I hit muted it. Sorry for that diversion. I'm a streamer. Boy, that brings me to a screeching halt. Sorry, I need the vibes. Trust me. All right, so as I was saying, enchanting had a huge boom because a bunch of people got new alternate tier gear. So that's what happened right here. Then right after, it started crashing because everyone noticed the high prices on enchanting. So it started slumping down again. However, you'll see since early December, it's been slowly going up. And if we look historically, this is, again, about a year's tracking. You'll see it was also really low this time last year as well. Like early January or mid-January, it was low, and then it went up again. If you like really speculative investing, if you go from last January 15th to like April, you're going to go from 3 gold to maybe 4.5. That's, you could probably cash out pretty well. So keep that in mind. I literally saw that. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I think that's worth mentioning. Yeah, Nix, it drives me nuts. All right, so that's those were the stories I had for this week's Market Watch. If anyone has any Market Watch related questions or any requests, I can spool up some charts if anyone wants any. If anyone thinks of anything, just let me know. It's one of my great passions is collecting data on Auction House, because I think it's infinitely fascinating. Now, Lax Elves, you didn't miss much. I haven't been streaming as much. Like, literally today, I was like, oh, man, I really want to stream. Oh, I'm going to get to stream. It's going to be awesome. And then literally I sat down, and if you were watching earlier on, I started coughing. I'm like, what is, like, why do I keep getting sick? Anyway. Make Shaman racials class-wide. Nixius, I mean, I'm still reeling from losing Spirit Link as a torrent, okay? I don't want Totemic Slam. So silly. I like Spirit Link. I will definitely be borrowing that database from you at some point to use in my data analytics certificate. Hey, by all means, I have done insane things with that database. I've thrown some wild things in there, buddy. Yeah, enjoy. And, we'll talk later, Sonic. I have some ideas for some new things that I'd like to put in the system, if we can do that. Especially for Telebim, because it's very annoying to have to compare two markets. And I'm like, what if they were on the same image? I want wolves on troll. I don't want another orc. Fair. But yeah, we can chat about that later. So, oh, right. And like most of my news programs, I will do a little ditty about the changelog once I find out where that browser tab was. It's not that one. Oh, it is this one. Nope, not that one. I should have labeled them. All right, hold on. I'll figure out this way. Oh, I think it was based off this one. Oh, yeah, it was. It was. Okay. We got it. We got it. I'll try to run through these. Any ones that really stick out to me. I'll give you a diatribe. Don't worry. Anything that you guys notice that you want to point out. Now, one other thing to note. This was posted on January 7th. Oddly enough, the team didn't post a link to this in the Discord. They almost always do every week. They just literally forgot to this time. But, so I think maybe fewer people saw this one. So I thought it was more important to cover it too. Greater Blessing of Light will now correctly increase healing of Holy Shock. Okay. I don't play Paladin, but I'm assuming Paladins care about this. Fixed Onyxia dropping too much loot. So, last week I covered a similar story where Nefarian and Ragnaros were dropping too much loot. I guess Onyxia was doing it too, which is weird because I've been on the server for so long that, like, what is too much loot? Because when I first started, Onyxia would drop an Alliance and a Horde piece, and they would roll on separate tables, but I think somewhere along the lines, because there's merged rating, they said like, oh, well, that's too much. And I was like, okay, I benefited from it, but if you say so. So I'm not sure if this was the issue. And again, things like this that benefits players, things that benefit players never show up on the bug trackers. Almost never. 4-tier pieces. Okay, that does seem a little out of whack. If I'm correct, in like vanilla or classic, Onyxia just drops 2 pieces. But I mean, those are faction restricted, right? And Zone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was just, I thought she dropped 2. I mean, maybe I've been on Turtle for so long, I'm just wrong. It's only 1. But anyway, it is now possible to use externally acquired bags and fishing poles while participating in the Artisan's Challenge. Now, you might not have thought of this. I don't think, maybe it's just me. The Artisan's Challenge, if you don't know what that is, it's one of the many game modes that Turtle WoW's added. This is a challenge where you can only use items that you yourself create through crafting. Now, if you are a cloth wearer, you're sitting pretty because you could make bags. But if you had the audacity to wear anything except for cloth, this was terrible. You could not equip any bags. And they recently made it so that you could equip someone else's bags, which I feel like is a fair thing, because like if you're a warrior, right, or even a rogue, right, a warrior, you're probably doing blacksmithing, because you can make armors and weapons. But are you gonna do tailoring? Well, maybe warriors wouldn't be affected, but let's say you're a rogue, you're probably gonna do leatherworking for armor and blacksmithing. Now, if you've done a lot of crafting, you know crafting requires a lot of bag space. And sure, this could be a a cynical cash grab by the team to make people buy bags. I don't know if those bags would even work for the Artisans Challenge. And if that was the case, then they didn't need to make this change. But here we are. I think this is a good change. Lax Elf says they still haven't fixed Paladin Tier 2 3-set bonus. Hey, Lax Elf. What is the name of that set? Oh, wait, it's Avengers? Avengers? 3-set bonus. Is this what it was? Because I know this database isn't updated. Increases the duration of your Crusader strike and judgments by 20%. Maybe it did change. I don't know. Judgments by 20%. I don't know enough about. So it is the judgment. Okay. Oh, it's judgment set. Judgment. Sorry, I don't know the sets very well for paladins. Increases the radius of paladin auras by 10. Is that what it was? Oh, okay, so this is specific. Okay, I do not know the set bonuses for the new tier stuff. I already don't. Yes, that is Mandalore. Yes. I'll only feed him for a prime right now. He's just being a butthead. He's doing his normal thing where he knows that when I stream, if he meows a bunch, he might get fed. Okay? If I'm doing something else, he will leave me alone. He knows that when I stream, he can sometimes get bonus food. He's a chunky boy. He's like 15 pounds. Okay? Before you start shaming me about not feeding my cat, I'm trying to do the healthy thing and make him have to wait for food time. So, according to Lax L, 3-set bonus gives 3 holy damage on strike. It should trigger Seal of Wisdom, but it does not. Okay. Alright. I'll keep an eye out for that if they do have that come down. Actually, you know what? Lax Elf, I'll make a note of it. Paladin judgment set for tanking. 3-set doesn't work. I'll bring it up to the team. That means I'll have to talk to a paladin specialist, though. I don't know if I want to do that. Yuck. Alright. Back to the changelog. Flight Masters will now grow stronger each time they die and respawn to discourage extended farming camping. Now, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong about this, but I thought I saw somewhere that camping quest givers, or maybe Flight Masters, was going to be declared griefing. I don't know if anyone... Sorry, I mean, it's... Sometimes I just hear rumors. I don't know if that's true. I'm not completely against that, but I just think that's... I think that might be somewhat related to this. I think there's been a movement by some of the world PvPers to start killing people that are annoying, or killing NPCs to just be jerks. But they could also say, hey, we're trying to draw in more PvP, which is fair. I don't think this is as much of an issue on Telebim. Maybe it is, but... sorry. A lot of chat going on. No, stop that. Mana is pretty stable with Seal of Wisdom. Yep. I hate you, Paladin. Nixius. Already made a ticket after the update with steam coming out of my nose. You guys are so serious. Maximus says, apparently it is impossible to get Frostfire Ring and Frostfire Signet now so you can equip both for set bonuses. So yeah, Maximus, I mean, this was an early change. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna be real with you guys right now. Sometimes I do the honest thing and I will report kind of wild stuff that I see happening. Right when the alternate tier sets came out, I saw the fact that some classes, like rogues especially, I know I've made a rogue, they could just have 2 tier 3 rogue rings. And I'm like, these should be unique. And I know I wasn't the only one, but I did bring it up to the team. I'm like, hey, you guys might want to look into this. So Maximus, I think it is by design that you cannot equip 2 of any version of the tier 3 rings. Now, according to what you said, you can equip both for set bonuses after the change. Tier 3 ring set for GMs don't help exchange. Oh, so it's an exchange issue? Yeah. I mean, it sounds like... it sounds like you have both and you're not supposed to have both, and they can't fix it. They probably can't fix it because you're not supposed to have both. I think that's the issue. But you can Maximus. Well, I know you can, only if you get them well, so you got grandfathered in to have something you're not supposed to have, and now you're like, I mean, you, like many other people who have been veteran raiders, saw something that was not supposed to happen. I mean, I wouldn't even ticket them about it because they might just take one of them away. Different names so unique does nothing. Right, but it might prevent them from messing with it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many people are in your particular position, because it's really only veteran raiders who noticed, because it was like a week, I think like a week window when it first happened, but before they made a fix. So I don't think a ton of people are in your situation. But I'll write this down and I'll mention it. Players with 2 tier 3 rings can't do anything with them. I'll have them look into it. Sorry. I know the unique does nothing. It's but I think it's a matter of some of that being grandfathered in. I'm not honestly sure. I'll have them look into it though. You could get the alternate set ring, then do KT again, and sell the old ring to repair bot, loot the other ring, and buy it back to have both. Yeah. Yikes. I mean, I'll bring it up to them and see what they have to say. All right. So yeah, Flight Masters, they'll get stronger every time. I think this is a nice way of sort of allowing the classic PvP experience to exist without ruining everyone's day. I mean, as it was beforehand, Flight Masters specifically would spawn some mobs to fight you. So if you had a group big enough to take them on, you could camp them ad infinitum. But if they keep getting stronger, I think that's a nice way of dealing with it. It's better than nothing. Which, I mean, it's kind of interesting because this is directly opposed, and I'm not saying that this person's wrong, because they're not. That earlier we had another person who was rightfully complaining about the fact that Battleground numbers keep being unbalanced, and that's been happening for a long time, and it has. And they say they don't care about PvP. And I'm like, it would seem like that. But then you see something like this, and it's like, well, clearly they put some thought into this fix. So You know what I mean? At times, I don't know what to think. All right. Fixed Slam Rank 1's training cost. I think this is just an oversight when they put all the new spells in. Good to see. Oh, I don't even want to talk about this one. For those who don't know, I raid Elemental in Naxxramas, Elemental Shaman. There was 1 week where many Elemental Shamans figured this out, and we were eating good. I did have some, helpful graphics. Sorry, this isn't going to be cropped very well for you, but let me see if I can fix this. Okay. I'll put this, I'll put it back after, but, right here, this is me. This is from the logs, right? I have everything selected. Respectable. This is, so this is all bosses and all trash, considering I had a couple fights I think I healed on. So, you know, this looks good. We're going to click on me, look at the damage. So, lightning bolt, okay. 51% of my damage. Chain lightning, 28.9% my damage. All right. Earth shock, doing some work. I finish a lot of trash mobs with earth shock. That's pretty normal for a lot of shamans. Fire nova, doing work on AoE packs. Classic for elemental. This attack, this is when you have the correct tracking software, you can track searing totem damage. So on bosses, like longer lasting bosses like Patchwork, right? I slap down a searing totem and just let it do its thing. Okay. And making up 3% of my damage is this ability, Shock. This came from a new relic. Just to make sure everyone's informed on this. The most recent patch had a bunch of dungeon extensions. So Wailing Caverns, Scarlet Monastery. I think there's something in Dead Mines. I think there's one other I'm not remembering. It might be Black Fathom Deeps. Anyway, they had extensions, like new little cubbies with new like boss areas, all that. And I think all of the bosses there, to some extent, had new relics. So the hybrid classes, as you're leveling up, you know, if you've leveled up a hybrid class that has a relic slot, you don't normally get relics to very late in the game, like 50-ish. Part of that's because in the original vanilla development, relics weren't a thing until later in the vanilla life cycle. So they didn't have them kind of distributed earlier on. But Turtle WoW has given it a stab and tried giving them for some lower level hybrid classes just to at least have something there. I think it's a good teaching opportunity for those classes to be like, oh, this is what a relic slot does. And, you know, all right. So this is about the totem of static charge for shamans. The way it works is there's a 10% chance when you cast a lightning bolt that a little shock of static electricity will just instantly hit your target. The issue was, and if you've been on Turtle long enough, you've definitely heard this song and dance before. The scaling on this ability was 1-to-1 with spell power. So I'm mousing over this, and what you're seeing is that my average non-crit hit with this was 1.1k. If you can do the math, that's definitely outpaces Totem of the Crackling Thunder and Totem of the Storm, which are like the other like high-level relics, and it outpaces it by a healthy margin. this is a relic you got from Wailing Caverns. Because the spell scaling was just... Well, they left the option as yes. And you can see when it crit, it was critting for like 2,000. You might see here, a crit for my max I got for a hit was 3,000. That was probably because of Thaddeus. In fact, let me just fix that. There, that'll probably change the number. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Logs, don't be weird. Don't be weird, logs. Does this have all the fights? It kind of does. All right. All right, let's get rid of Thaddeus again. Oh, okay. See, a little better. So I was hitting for 1.5K on the high end, and it could crit for 2K. A Bartek it is, but however, I wanted to illustrate why I was so sad to see this one go. Every elemental shaman who's kind of into the meta was using this for one glorious week before Totem of Static Charge. Let me just rectify the size again. You can see here, it no longer scales with spell bonus damage. So I did test, it just does like 100 now. It was good while it lasted. Now, since I am full disclosure, this would be advantageous to me as a raider who's an elemental shaman, but I had a really good idea. If you know about Totem of Flowing Water. So this is a relic, much like Totem of Static. This one drops in Nax off of Noth. Regain up to 10 mana each time you cast Lesser Healing Wave. This is an often memed upon relic for Shaman, for good reason. I am not joking when I say you should put the Totem of Flowing Water in the Wailing Cavern spot, tone down the Totem of Static Charge, and give it to Noth. I feel like that's a win all around. And I did say this to the team, and I got, this is a deeper discussion for the itemization crew, and I'm like, okay. But you didn't say I'm wrong. Well, Nixius, you're not wrong, right? Completely. But the thing is that what I considered fun was doing big damage. I like doing big damage. So, if what's fun to you is exploits, then yeah, the team's not gonna like it. But all things being fair, yeah, I knew it was broken. Every shaman who was using it for damage knew it was broken. But I will say, if you tone it down, like give it like 50% spell scaling, like cut those numbers in half and put it on Noth, and put that crappy totem that drops on Noth in Wailing Caverns. Literally perfect solution. Yeah, exactly, Bartek. I'm not even joking. It is very annoying, and I think I know the Paladins can pipe up on this. DPS Paladins, your relic is also a world drop blue level 55 or something. Same thing for Shaman. Your best elemental relic is Totem of the Storm, because they changed how Crackling Thunder works. It's better for enhancement now. It feels weird that like you just need a world drop blue. It feels like a tax. They've done way more for relics with the druids to make them more dynamic and put them in raids. I just wish that the same was true for, I guess, DPS paladins and shamans. See, that's one thing shamans and paladins can agree about. I mean, Bartek, you can still get it. Also, fun fact about that totem specifically. Murag, my wife, the boss who drops the totem static charge is voice acted by Murag. That is a true story. So, one afternoon, I said, hey, I gotta go to Wailing Caverns to kill you a bunch. And she's like, what? I'm like, you have that stupid totem that I know is broken. And she goes, oh, cool. So if you want to hear Murag's voice, heavily, I think it's slightly slowed down and deepened, but she does do the voice acting for that boss in Wailing Caverns. So go check that out. Shamans are just godless paladins, but what is a god to a non-believer? See, we're kings and queens of the elements. We don't have to put our faith in something because we work together with the elements. There's like this weird master-slave relationship that paladins have that just doesn't jive with shamans. I'm sorry. I don't want to get into the weeds, okay? We got more of the changelog to get to. All right. Nixius. The Hunter 2.5 3-set bonus will now trigger on periodic damage from Serpent Sting. Now I know for a fact, I don't know the name of it. Does anyone know the name of the Hunter 2.5 set? I can look it up. We can see the set bonus. Look, man, if the light says jump, I say how high. Yep, and that's how you get the Scarlet Crusade. I can look it up over here. Bartek asks, what do you think about the tier 2 and tier 3 elemental shaman set bonuses? Do you think they should be switched? I don't know. And I say that because I'm pissed out of my mind. I'll have to take a look at them. I don't think I've actually considered that deeply because tier 3 was kind of lame. And the level of damage and crit I looked at tier 2 and I'm like, this just isn't it. Tier 3 wasn't it. So that should tell you what I think of. I mean, maybe the set bonuses are good. I'll have to take a look at them again. Maybe do some testing, but I can get back to you on that, Bartek. Paladins are just shamans whose spirituality is replaced with restrictive dogma. I mean, listen, you said it. Sorry, I'm trying to find. Okay, if I go to Hunter 2.5. Oh no, not show me gloves. What's the name of it? Strikers? It's called Strikers. Strikers. Oh, that's not right. Striker. Okay. So now I'm going back to what it said here. 3-piece set bonus will now trigger on periodic damage. Is this right? How does reduces the cost of your arcane shots by 10%? Hello, Caletius. I don't know what this is all about because the Hunter and Rogue tier sets weren't altered by the class change stuff. So I guess I'm just confused about how a 3-piece set bonus will now trigger. All right, well, okay. I mean, if it's triggering, okay. That seems kind of like a nothing burger. I mean, maybe it's a big deal for hunters. A hunter could maybe speak up on this, but fix an issue where the arcane infused gem was not functioning as expected. Arcane infused gem. I don't even know what that is. I think it's for, yeah. Oh, that's another hunter thing. All right, so it seems like there's multiple things not working with arcane shot, because this seems related, right? Okay. Corrected the bonus healing provided by Greater Blessing of Light. Oh, there was actually a number of paladin fixes right here. Corrected the bonus healing provided by Daybreak, which is actually, that's a really big deal for Holy nowadays. And I'm glad to see them rectify that, because there were a lot of Holy Paladin doomers. I'm glad that they're getting some of that rectified. I think it's a good thing. Shamius, that's just a limitation of the database. Some of the number things are all janky on it. Don't worry about it. Like, I think, what's another one I could show you that would do it? If I did, Water Shield. There we go. Will this one show it? No, that one won't show it. Well, I know other things look like that on the database. So, all right. So, yeah, it looks like some Paladin healing stuff got fixed. I think that's great. Fix an issue where Kidney Shot was unable to trigger Tricks of the Trade. So, I don't think a lot of people play this this spec, which is fine, because I don't think it's naturally. I don't think it's very appealing, and I don't mean that in like a super negative way. I just don't think. Let me bring this over here. So, this is a subtlety tree. I think this is updated, but I'll have to move that over. Hopefully I can. No, not that. Oh, I'm hitting the Windows button. That's why. Okay. So I think you guys can maybe see that. All right. Tricks of the Trade. Your opening and finishing moves have percentage based on the numbers you put in there. And percentage chance per combo point, respectively, to increase your party's chance to critically strike by 2% for 10 seconds. Stacks up to 2 times. This is a bit of a tangent about subtlety rogues in PvE. There's definitely been some thought with this tree. Now, I do, full disclosure, I was part of class council. I did advise on rogues. Most of what I tried advising on was about rogue tanking stuff, which I didn't make the cut, so, you know, but I did have like some input on stuff. I didn't have a lot to say. Most of what I said is like, hey, it'd be really cool if rogues had more opportunity to do some utility. And if you're not familiar, a lot of that utility is right here. But to get these things, you have to lose a lot of damage. I'm going to be honest. And some of them are really good. This one, it's a cooldown ability, but it gives extra damage to your party. It's almost like, I've joked around about this, but subtlety rogues almost became like a totem for their group. There's multiple things that do that. I think they increased how Hemo works too. So there's a couple good things, but there is so much damage potential in assassination and combat now that when you go this deep into subtlety to get things like exploit vulnerability, tricks of the trade, honor among thieves, which are really good for buffing and like for that utility aspect, you just do dog water DPS. And I haven't done the math. Maybe other rogues have, but I mean, the amount of DPS loss you have might not equate to how much DPS gain you give other people in your party, which I think is a valid criticism. But when those rogue talents say they affect the party, does that include everyone in the raid too? That is incorrect. It does not, Shamius. It is just the party. That's why I was joking around saying you're like a totem. I think breaking the Trinity to add a support role would better if they gave other classes more support. Well, the problem with support too is that I know the team's a bit allergic to making stuff like TBC too much. Because in TBC, everyone had something they brought. You know what I mean? And I think some classes really lack support. And rogues were probably the poster child for that. I just don't know how much the support they have now is decent. I mean, you still have IEA, right? That's here. You can get that. That's not too hard. But the rest of it, I mean, it's pretty selfish. Like, and I mean that in like it's directed towards your DPS. And then everything here is directed towards like other people's DPS, but then you don't, you know, it's almost like the enhancement conundrum before class change, where it's like enhancement, when they twisted, really helped their party, but their damage was really bad. You know, some people like that playstyle. I'm actually curious about trying it, so maybe I'll report back to you guys on that and let you know how it goes. But anyway, so Kidney Shot wasn't proccing tricks of the trade. Now it does. That's great. Fix an issue where Fire Rune caused elemental focus to stop functioning correctly. Huh? Fire Rune. The heck is that? I mean, I only see a... We'll check it here. Fire Rune? Yeah, that's fine. Nope, it's not in here. Maybe it was Elemental Focus. Elemental Focus. This is made 2 months ago, so this probably isn't it. Maybe it's from this? Yep, I think it's this is the one. So the Flare Core set has certain proccing effects, and I think it was messing with the Elemental Focus. Okay. So I think that's what this one was about. And because this, again, 1 week ago it was changed. Oh. Mandalor's knocking stuff down. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go feed the boy. Okay, we're back. Oh, looks like, the Shagu said hello. Hi, Shagu. Hope you're doing well. Mandalore has been fed. He knocked down, he knocked something down off a table, and I thought something broke. It didn't. So, we're good. Alright, where were we? Right, so, I believe Fire Rune is an ability from the Flare Core set. I think I've seen a couple things about this too, so. Hello, Jose. Hope you're doing well. Alright, this one is interesting. I've read a couple things about this. Fixed getting stuck en route if you enter indoors right as you are afflicted by entangling roots. Now, you might think, hey, this is just like, oh, well, you have roots temporarily, no big deal. No, it would just stay on you. So, this was problematic. I think this was a problem in Warsong Gulch specifically. And again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but like, there are clearly some things that the team does fix that really do affect PvP. So at times, I'm like, okay, so they do care a little bit about PvP. So, I don't know, it's always a weird mixed message for me, but anyway. Finishing moves that don't affect the target no longer cause mobs to aggro if you have the Ruthlessness talent. This had to do with reports of rogues from like miles away could target something. So here's how it would work. A rogue could put a combo point on something, vanish to drop combat. Okay, we're good so far. And then would run to the other side as long as they still had the mob selected. As long as they're still within that range. I guess it had to do with Ruthlessness, but if they hit Slice and Dice with that combo point, it would aggro the mob from like way across the zone. And I think this was more of a polish thing. I imagine you could do some shenanigans with this because rogues can already stealth. So maybe this could have done some things in some dungeons where, like, let's say you were doing like a tribute run, right? Well, you could get a combo point on like a boss, walk far away, hit Slice and Dice, and then the boss will run after you and the rest of your group could just run by. Oh, okay, Laraziel, we'll take a look at them. I didn't think there was going to be that many, but... Alright, and we only have a couple more left anyway from last week. To any of my feral lovers, druids out there, this one was funny to me. If you've been on the server long enough, you might remember this being a thing. Back in 2023, if memory serves, there were druids. So this was changed to help make druids more competitive with their brown name overlords, particularly with elemental sharpening stones. I don't know if this is for all sharpening stones. This might just be for those, but so back in the day, in 2023, for a certain period of time, you could apply this to your weapon, and as a feral druid, you would get the melee crit. I guess a boomkin could too, but so that was cool until it kind of like the totem of static charge. Some clever druids found out that you could keep, I mean, it was limited to how many elemental sharpening stones I think you had, but there was some way you could keep applying them, and you could stack the buff. That's a lot of crit. Essentially, there are some old logs of feral druids just critting every time they hit. Or I think you could get to crit cap. Either way, it was broken. It looks like the druids have paid their punishment for their previous crimes and have been given the privilege of doing this once more. So, congrats to the druids. Best of luck. I hope it isn't broken again. But, who is Corrigan? Yeah, maybe it is just those specific stones, Lindsay Babs. I'm not sure. Corrigan. Is he new? Looks like he's new. Okay. I don't... Unselect... Okay. Well, Corrigan's selectable, everyone. Oh, this one's interesting. Ah, see, Larazia knew about it. You see, you knew. Yeah, you knew the old ways. Yeah, okay, so it's interesting that that's the only stone you guys... I don't know. I'm sure the druids know if there's a specific reason why that only the crit stones work for you guys, but... Anyway. Wrapped gifts can no longer be placed into the guild bank. This one I had pretty close interaction with the team about it. There is a legend in my guild of a rogue named Ricky who got a lockbox, not a junk box, a lockbox, and it had a world drop epic in it. And they were excited. They cracked it open to look inside. And I believe the story was they wanted to show someone else in the guild. And so they left it in the guild bank. However, sadly what happened was that when someone else went to go grab the lockbox, they grabbed it, pulled it out. It could no longer be opened. I got some background information on this. The guild bank system nowadays is a completely separate inventory system. And what was happening, because wrapped gifts, right? So it was right around Wintervale. What was happening was people, like for Secret Santa or just like for Christmas or whatever it was, they would leave wrapped gifts in their guild bank, be like, hey, I left everyone gifts. And then they would go to grab their gifts and they couldn't unwrap them. So this change is to prevent people from putting wrapped gifts. Now, I brought up the story about lockboxes because evidently the issue is if you put a lootable item into, so that means like gem bags, junk boxes, loot, that kind of stuff, right? Something that has loot within it. If you put that in the guild bank or a guild bank, there's a good chance something's gonna break. Now they specifically forbid wrapped gifts, but I actually talked to a team member who was working on this, and I literally demonstrated for them that you can put other lootable items in guild banks and they should fix this. So expect to see more about this one. Oh yeah, Larazzi, I know about that one. Yeah, it's wild. So hopefully all lootable items will be forbidden. For now, just as an all points bulletin, like a PSA, if you have a lootable item, do not put it in a guild bank. Something bad will happen. You're probably gonna lose it. That's what I'll say. Just don't do it. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Hopefully they'll put the guardrails up to prevent people from doing it. All right. Fixed effects that reduce mana cost with charges being consumed incorrectly. This is a lot of words to say clear cast. But I think it had to do with a couple other spells, because I think there were some other spells that were affected by the same problem that was causing the Shaman clear cast issue. So I think that's why they worded it like this, but I can attest that... I checked. I think I checked last night. Yeah, clear casting for Shaman seemed to work. But I think something with like improved Shadow Bolt and like some other spell ability was had the same issue. So hopefully those are all fixed. It should be noted that I think this is like the third or fourth time that they said clear casting was fixed for Shaman. But I mean, this time it worked. So, that's good. Increased level requirements of the quest Sharks Are Friends Not Food. This is a quest over in Tenaris at the beach party. Maybe it was too low level. That's the one that you get the picnic basket, or maybe the shark pet. I don't remember, but all right. Corrupt Dream Shard stack up to 8. If you've ever done the Corrupt Dream Shard farm, there's usually that raid that happens right near Nordinar, the city in Hyjal. You jump in that raid, you kill some satyrs. Telebim, if you don't do it, it's a great idea if you can get some people there. Anyway, they changed it so that you need 8 for a turn-in, but it was still stacking to 5 in your bags. So this is just a nice, quick, easy change. Fix an issue where the effect of Righteous Defense could stack. Paladins. You see what I mean? When we were talking about, someone asked like, hey, when's Kara gonna release? And I was saying, I hope it's for a little while longer, because stuff like this makes me think that like, I don't think they have a good feel on how the classes are performing, right? Because we talked about, there was that relic that I was using. Paladin healers had some issues still, and this looks like a tank thing. So like, where is Paladin mitigation? Where's Paladin healing? Where is it actually? So, I think I want a couple more weeks of this stuff to like make sure we get more of the kinks out. Yes. Hello, Onega. Hope you're doing well. Is this for PvE or PvP as well? This is a changelog, so this should affect all servers? I'm assuming. I need you to advocate towards the database at least being partially updated before Kara. We can't go without the proper database all the way till... Yeah, we can. Oh, quit your whining, Larazia. You're fine. It's not that tough. That's the most authentic vanilla experience, by the way. Not having any good information and just having to rely on word of mouth. I'm fine with the database being dead. Even though what I do literally benefits from it, I'm fine with it. Because I like exploring and figuring stuff out for myself. Literally could make 10% damage reduction to a 20... Yeah, exactly, Nixius. I had a feeling that was a big deal. Alright, this is a Wintervale thing. They were respawning pretty quickly before. Maybe they toned it down now that most people have done the quest that want to do the quest. That's just my guess. This was a big deal. A lot of trinkets that had like, that normally have mutually, that have like the same cooldown effect, did not have that. And for the classes at Trinket Swap, Hunters and Rogues, there was some busted stuff going on. For some casters, there was some kind of busted stuff going on. I don't know how that broke. It's spaghetti code. Like, I don't understand, but much like the totem static charge, this was necessary. I'm glad they fixed that. As I saw some people doing it, Huh. I wish I would have set up my trinkets. That would have been fun. But remove vendor prices and level requirements from some shop items in the fashion category. That's just a small oversight thing. The greatest wizard hat is now bound on pickup, but no longer has a level requirement. Okay. Added city guard transmog to the fashion category of the donation shop. I mean, I love every transmog option. I personally wish more of them were just in-game for stupid amounts of gold. I think that's better than donation shop, but as someone who donates regularly and has been around forever, I also like options, so it's fine. Items and auras providing reduced critical strike damage will now work as intended for melee auto attacks as well. Huh. That's an interesting one. I mean, this would affect both PvE and PvP, I would imagine. Actually, speaking, we were talking about the rogues, right? Their subtlety. I think there's one in here. It might be irritating agent. Oh no, that's just reducing their damage dealt, so it's not crit. But I didn't know there were that many crit reduction things. I know there's some. It's usually a pretty big deal for PvP, but interesting. This is kind of like a rogue nerf in PvP. A lot of our damage comes from white damage, at least combat does. So, all right, okay. I'll see about grabbing the most recent changelog. Did they post it though? That is my question. They did. Okay. Thank you. I think it was Lorazia who mentioned it. So, appreciate that. Oh my god, sorry. I just saw that one. That one's wild to me. Oh yeah, there wasn't that many. Look at that. All right. Tier 1. So this is like hot news. Fresh news, hot news. The hottest. All right. The Tier 1 Paladin Retribution 3-piece set bonus now correctly affects Judgment of Righteousness and Judgment of Command. Nixius, if you're hearing this, okay. I know this has to do with alternate tier set bonuses, and I don't understand them well. And this... are these DPS or tank things? Don't know. Moved one battered chest out of a no LOS area in Elwyn Forest. So I think this might, for anyone who might have noticed this was like a change they made a while ago. I remember covering it. It made, sorry, I'm saying Kiletia say, it made a Seal of Righteousness competitive. Okay, this is a DPS thing. Got it. Okay. You don't go for command anymore as prot. Okay, all right. I remember the one that I understood the best that affected paladin tanks as a pretty spiky damage shaman. In Nax Ramus, boy, Exorcism was doing some crazy damage and threat. I could just do whatever. I could Earth Shock on pull and I wouldn't be in danger. I know when that changed, I was a little bummed, but... I mean, again, I've talked about it before. I'll talk about it again. This is why I'm fine with Kara taking a little longer. There's some things like this that, like, I don't want classes to rely on if it's not meant to be part of their kit. So, all right, that's cool. Oh, I was mentioning this battered chest thing. So, specifically on Turtle WoW, and I think this was in like vanilla WoW, but not classic. If you open a chest near mobs, it will act like as a way to aggro them. If you don't believe me, if you're high level, the easy way to find this out, go do a Scarlet Monastery graveyard run. Right as you walk into that first room, there's a chest behind like 4 mobs. If you open that chest, like you can walk right by the guys, but if you open that chest, it'll aggro them. And I think maybe this LOS thing is to help teach new and returning low-level players that, hey, opening chests can have consequences. So that's just my guess on that one. Fix an exploit that allowed trading loot inside gift boxes when open inside a raid. Trading loot inside gift boxes when opened inside... I can only imagine the jank that's involved with this, but dang. Nixie says, I do miss the FT Totem Paladin meta. Yes, they was. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, hey, it's tough out there. I'm 10 out of 10 confident that doesn't happen at the goblin starting area because I've been doing it 3 times the last month and there's the same chest, the same spot that you can loot, LOS. Interesting. Well, I mean, if the chest isn't aggroing people and it's relatively close, I would say throw a bug report out there. Murdoch Boar can now be skinned. Okay. It is no longer possible to understand opposite faction messages in the local defense and world defense channels. I guess that makes sense. I mean, that's Telebim probably doesn't have that issue, but Northernar probably would have been. I remember this actually because I've done a little world PvP on Northernar, and I remember that like in world defense, like both factions could chat in it, and it was just like wild. It was like, why do we have this? So there's a PvP quality of life change. And you have to fight mobs for my spicy loot. What are you talking about? I don't know half the time. Curse of Agony should no longer remove other players' Curse of Doom due to the malediction talent. Oh boy. I know Warlocks, there was a lot of Warlock dooming after class changes. That's wild. If Curse of Agony was removing other players' Curse of Doom just because of malediction, I'm glad that's fixed. I don't know a lot about Warlocks, but I know enough to know that pushing off another Warlock's curse is like not a good thing. Yeah, it's true, Lorazia, but you know what? They'll come out of it stronger. I trust. The big... I'd say the hybrids are probably the biggest winner out of class changes. Like, just by and large. They also had many of the most problematic things going on with them. Well, not druids. Druids are too good. Druids could just do everything as good as the best people who do them. If you don't believe me, look at Boomkin logs. Look at Bear Tank logs. I don't know about variable DPS, and I don't know about Resto, but I do know in those 2 particular instances they're eating well. But I digress. Warlocks are struggling. I know they got their improved Shadow Bolt thing back that they were... It's so weird to me that like you're like tied for the most boring rotation next to Frost Mage. And then you're given an option to be free from it. And then they're like, no, we want it back. Because it was slightly stronger than whatever slop you gave us. It's like, okay. Have fun, I guess. Again, I digress. Haven't seen this one happen, but I'm laughing about it. Hello, Gnosis Logos. The warrior talent should also be changed a bit. Can we expect something related to the warrior talent? You have to be more specific, my friend. I don't know about warriors to know what the one is. Shamius asks, speaking of changes, do you know why they changed warrior's bloodthirst ability? Nope. It used to damage to yourself to trigger enrage, but now gives 5% movement speed instead. Why? Probably because it was too strong. That's my guess. That's a guess. That's an educated guess. Because I remember warriors were like super pumped about this. I remember them being really pumped about this, and usually when they're excited about something, it's because it's strong. Calitia says, I like the old Crusader Strike, spamming and fishing for proc playstyle for paladins. Yeah. Yeah, Shamius, I'll put in my notes to ask about it. What happened to hurting yourself as Fury? I'll remember what that means. Gnosis, you just repeated the same. You gotta be messing with me. All right. As a totem user, so generally when I do 4 horsemen, I'm just talking about my experience. I'm not dropping totems, like almost at all. It's generally I'm healing, and I'm not going to stick around long enough to benefit from any of my totems. And if I did drop a totem, it wouldn't be at Zeliek. It would be at Mograine or Thane to give fire resistance. That's the one. I could drop a Searing Totem, I guess. But I've never seen this, and I probably wouldn't drop a Searing Totem as a resto because it doesn't have good range and the damage would be middling. But Holy Wrath getting targeted by totems, that is a nightmare for shamans because totems are in this weird spot where they're kind of like pets, but they're not. So they don't get hit by cleave damage, which is something pets normally don't get, but they have, they don't get hit bonuses from you. They don't get crit bonuses from you like pets do. I mean, now you can give them that. Warlocks and Hunters can do that with certain talents, I believe. But could you imagine how terrified as a shaman you would be if you're like fighting Cthulhu and someone whispers in your ear and it's not Cthulhu and it's a friend going, hey, do you think the I-beam could chain off of totems? I would never drop a totem in all of AQ40 ever again. I'd be like, nope, no, I'm just not risking it. I don't know what Cthulhu's doing. I feel, actually, I'm kind of curious. This must have made it into the bug reports, right? So this would have maybe been, what was the ability called? I just had it. Oh, wait, no, sorry. It was this one. Holy Wrath. Holy Wrath. Oh, hey, it's Abstracts. Abstracts was someone who really helped me learn how to do well as an elemental shaman. So, hey, Abstracts. I doubt you'll watch this, but hi. At least so see, like I said, maybe a Syrian totem. So he probably put down a Syrian totem. Put some totems in Sir Zeliek's Holy Wrath range and wait for him to cast a spell. How it's supposed to work should not target totems. That's true. Because totems have no hit points and just give buffs, they have like no hit points. And so they shouldn't be targeted by things. So this is not correct. By the way, there was a very old change, like this would have been mid 2023, I believe, where Chain Heal for some amount of time was bouncing to totems sometimes. It's not supposed to do that either. So every now and then, totems do make it onto the front page. That's just interesting to see. Shaman's Bloodlust no longer unintentionally shares a cooldown with items such as Juju Flurry. A good? Why? I swear, the spaghetti code of Turtle WoW sometimes, it's like, you could only accidentally do this kind of stuff. But that's good to know. Corrected the waypoints for Forzuk in Arathi Highlands. I think it's an escort quest, maybe? I don't know. That's good. Fixed V Mango. I thought I almost said V Mango. So it's Vangros not respecting. Who is Vangros? He's not respecting threat. That's mean. Vangros? Who are you? This doesn't seem to involve Vangros, but aggro Vangros is not working. NPC entered combat by me casting Curse of Elements, and my party nor my Voidwalk were unable to take aggro of the NPC. I did not touch the NPC after casting Curse of Elements. Had to reproduce. Attack Vangros. Oh man, this reminds me of the old days of when sometimes things would just never like unleash elites that didn't have leashes. So I don't know who Vangros is, but that seems great. And last one, before we'll wrap up the changelog. Fixed an issue with the Human's Diplomacy, racial passive, where it did not correctly apply to small reputation awards. I get it. It's probably the best human racial. But everyone who's not a human hates humans for that when like they have a rep grind and they're like, oh, I'm already done. You're like, shut up. Interesting though. I can only imagine the concern of those humans. I'm happy for them. I'm not a human, of course. I'm an orc, so we all know that. It is known. All right, and hey, you know what? That's what I had. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I mean, that wasn't like a tight 15 or 20 minutes like one of my news videos. It's like a tight 2 hours. But yeah, that's what I have for y'all. If you guys had any questions, if you wanted to see any of the any other Market Watch things, I can make some charts for you. Anything else you might want me to bring to the team, let me know. As long as it's not like something that's like, when are you gonna fix Hunter's cat? Something that's just super vague and Yeah, it's got to rise to a certain level. That's all I'm saying, you know. And I'm not like the perfect arbiter. Obviously, I don't understand everything about classes, but, you know. So far I have... oh, can I could probably bring that up. This is my notes. BG issues. I'm gonna bring up sides not being equal still. So I do have Paladin Judgment set for tanking. 3 set doesn't work. Players with 2 tier 3 rings can't do anything with them. What happened to hurting yourself as Fury? Anything else, let me know. I could bring the grocery list to them. I came on the back end. I wanted to ask if you know anything about the team announcing this summer that they weren't doing the full shop discounts yet. We saw another. You know what? That's a... Or as it, that's a good point. Full shop discount? After saying it won't happen. That's a good attention to detail, because I remember them saying that this summer, like, hey, this is going to be like our last full store sale. And then they had more full store sales. My honest guess about that one specifically, by the way, is that it's like they wanted to do a sale and no one wanted to go through and just make one themed. And, you know, as someone who's over time made a lot of like content stuff and done a lot of things, I understand the inclination to be like, I already know how to do this, so I'm just going to do this. I see Gnosis Logos. For the warrior talent, the blood drinker ability should be lowered 1 level, and bloodthirst should be restored to its old original version, so the blood drinker should start. Gnosis, I will... Can another warrior tell me what Gnosis is saying? I understand English is not everyone's first language. That's fine. But even if it was your first language, I would probably still struggle to understand because I don't know warriors well enough. Calitius is shadow oil revert when? What can you tell me about that, Calitius? Shadow oil revert. Now, what I know about shadow oil, because I played as a rogue, was that you control warlocks by putting shadow oil on your weapon because it will eat improved shadow bolt charges. So I never touched the stuff. Blub says, I was on 4 last AC/DC tours. Okay, I'm going to put that in the notes. Blub went to some awesome concerts to watch an 80-year-old rock out. Noted. He's suggesting what he thinks should be fixed about warrior talent page. Shadow oil used to scale 53 spell power, but they removed the spell power scaling because some... I mean, yeah, I don't... Okay, so, Calitius, I can answer that one. Not intended. There you go. They didn't intend it to have that kind of scaling, and if someone's using it for something beyond what it's really designed for, I get it. They don't want spell power rogues to be a thing. I get it. Ask them why Vrograg is such a handsome orc. I mean, you said it. Why am I so handsome? We got it in there. All right. I mean, Calitius, I mean, okay, so you're not wrong, all right? He says they also killed a lot of fun builds that used it. So it's one of those things, right, where it's like, if fun is doing something that the designers don't intend, right, it's valid to say, hey, I was enjoying that. But it's also valid for them to say, like, that's not the gameplay we want you to have. Both people can be right. You're not wrong, and neither are they for saying, no, we're gonna change that. It kind of is what it is with that kind of thing. Has Bears lost Vamp on talents forever? They keep intending on keeping the feral adrenaline talent that people consider a talent without use case. Alright. Is feral vamp talents gone for good? I can ask that. Yeah, and Calitius, listen, I spend plenty of time not agreeing with the team. Famously, many people know that I was doing rogue tanking for a long time. The team was okay with it for like 6 months and then did an about face and then stopped it. I've been there. And I didn't like it. And the team has their right to change how the game is. It's not always fun, but it is what it is. I'd love to ask them if they consider the general Druid community experiencing that the Druid specs are being force-fed stats that feel a valid stance, or if they don't agree on that feedback. That's a more nuanced question that, like... So, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I can be like, hey, is there a reason behind making new Druid gear have stats that we don't want? And I could group that in with the Warriors going, why do I have more Spirit on my gear? The thing is that it answers itself, sadly, in your case, right? Because here's the answer to that. Because the itemization team wants to do that. It's not great. And what I can at least say about people like Dragonovi, who's like the itemization team lead, I have not ever encountered a pure oversight of like a stat. I've seen things get implemented incorrectly, but usually when I ask him about something, he usually he's pretty thoughtful about the stuff. So my guess would be that it's deliberate. And, to a certain extent, we do have to recognize too that like something we're not even talking about here is that there's serious power creep happening, right? The classes got stronger. Do we want to continue to make gear even stronger still? So that could be part of it too. But, the why of it is because that's what the design decision is. I mean, I can ask about, like, is there something else you're building towards? I will say this, in general. I think it would be good to get from the team sort of more universal mission statements about, like, what the direction of the project is. when you design items, like, can you tell us like the logic behind it? We might not agree, but like, I think many players are willing to disagree as long as they can comprehend what's going on. That like, and listen, I don't want to trigger any warriors here, okay? But warriors get very good health per 5 from spirit, better than in classic or vanilla. It's a V Mangoes thing, and maybe the itemization team's looking to lean on that more and wants it to be part of warrior class identity. Warriors they're like, I want more strength, attack power, agi. Okay. You're getting spirit. It's like, okay. I just think stats are kind of a tough thing to talk about, but I think what a more constructive conversation would be like what's the overlying sort of theory or the direction you're going. I think that could be more constructive, because then that kind of answers more questions, Let's see here. Gnosis came back, said, Vrograg, do you have any idea about the satisfaction level of the warriors following the big patch? Their general opinion? What would most of them change? I mean, okay, so Gnosis, I don't play warrior, right? But I raid with many of them, and I interact with a lot of them. There are some very big warrior fans on the team that I've talked to as well, and in class council. I would say warriors are pretty much across the board like okay with class changes, mostly because it didn't really affect their bread and butter too much of like Fury and Fury Prot. It gave arms some stuff, and it gave some options for protection that make it not completely useless. All right, so that's been my general consensus from chatting. I do have these conversations pretty often, so yeah, I think that's what I've heard. Onega 11 says, I love the idea of niche class options, like rogue tank or spell damage rogue. But I think they shouldn't outperform the main specs. Yeah. And I say that as someone who, rogue tanking specifically, right? Most of us who were doing it, we understood that it was cheesy, that it was sort of obviating part of the core game mechanics, but it was also our only route to do content as a class and a spec that we wanted to do. Many of those rogue tanks, myself included, would be happy if there was like an alternate route to do it. And I don't think any of us wanted to be in a position where the only thing we could really do that no one else could was like never be hit by Patchwork or Vesuvius. But that's the one thing we could do. I've talked about this many times, but I've even said like the most fun I've had tanking as Vrograg was when I was with like a lowly geared party, so my threat could keep up with them, and I main tanked ZG. It was awesome. I had a lot of fun, and like I wasn't like avoidance capped when I did that either. It was good fun. Something like that, like, give us some of the tools, make us competent off tanks, and that's fine. I think that's enough. Maybe we can do some dungeons and help out groups. That'd be cool. And a lot of that comes from, hey, rogues would like to do more than disarm traps one raid and have one of us apply improved exposed armor. Which, sadly, because not a lot of people are picking up subtlety for PvE, is kind of what we're still doing. So, Larazius, what else? Oh, you wrote a lot, Lorazia. Let me see if I can catch up with it. The general consensus is that the balance is being itemized haste. Bears is itemized defense, and cats being itemized haste. Stats that you would be told to avoid. It is because they're going to change mechanics. I think that might be putting the cart before the horse with assumptions, but maybe. That's definitely what I was aiming towards too. If they're intending on changing how some of the core mechanics work, like how druids work with defense. Okay. It feels weird being given so much of a stat you only benefit half as much as other tanks. And balance can't really use haste as much either. Haste is weird. Agreed. And it's contentious. There's really only one spec that goes nuts over it traditionally, and that's Enhancement Shaman. However, what I will say is it's a place where I think itemization can kind of expand because it's not explored very well. And that might be some of the underlying thought about it. I even think there's ways to do partial percent haste, which would be confusing, I think, for some people, but I think that would be cool. For something to keep in mind is that they're breathing new life into a very old game primarily onto a very old server, right? Some of these people have been doing this for years, It's not just me who's been doing the news for a couple of years, right? It's also some of these designers have been around before I was here. For some of them, that's also a chance to explore and try different things. Can that have a negative effect? Yeah. That being said, though, we're along for the ride. The project's something we're all together in on. And if something sucks that bad, generally they fix it. And that's just how it goes. I think only the people that are rightfully very concerned are the people who are trying to go for server first, that kind of stuff, because they're going to be affected the most by mistakes. So, and they have a right to have a voice in this too. And I've also been a pretty strong proponent of public test realm, which I think could alleviate a lot of issues, but yeah. I don't think you're completely off base, Lorazia. But we'll see what happens. Let's see. Coletius. In my opinion, old Spellret was the perfect balance of things. It was highly competitive, but also had a lot of drawbacks, and not many paladins wanted to pursue the build. Yeah. And some people, like doing Sealed Fate as rogue. It damage wasn't great, but it was fun, There are things that we lose along the way, and we hope to be gaining other things. Sometimes they're not as fun. It's part of the good and the bad of playing a living game, is that things are going to change. And I think that's always going to be hard with people who are attracted to base vanilla because it's been the same for so long. And I think what makes Turtle different is that there's a community that's embracing slow change, as the mascot might imply. So, yeah, there are definitely things that I think are missed, like Power Infusion Priest not really being a thing anymore, kind of, but not really. It's different now. So, yeah, you lose things, you gain other things. Some of them are some of them are not. It's just going to be the mixed bag of what you get. And I don't think it's wrong to keep, like, put the team to task to do as good of a job as they can. As long as, like, our critique is fair, like, I think that's what we should do. Lizzie Bab says, I think Haxor knows all the Warlock stuff. I mean, I don't know. No one knows all the Warlock stuff. Oh, wait. Maybe Balake does. Shoutouts to Balake if you're out there. When you're not too busy being a curmudgeon. But I do know a lot of the world. I don't know if you're like just super behind Lizzie Babs, but I know I was talking about Warlock before, but Warlocks had a tough hoe to row. I think when things change in a substantial way, it's hard, and I get that. Because I mean, like, listen, I'm playing an Elemental Shaman in Raid. My rotation didn't change. My best gear didn't really change. I'm pretty much doing the same stuff I've always done, right? That's not the same for other classes. That's not the same for other builds. And if they did something to drastically change Elemental Shaman, maybe I would feel differently about class changes. Maybe I would feel ostracized, you know, and I'd want to switch mains or, you know, or what have you. So, you know, my personal skin in the game is that I haven't been too heavily negatively affected, right? But if something I enjoyed playing was really negatively affected, I would be upset too. I get that. So, you know, I think when that happens, you're kind of left with two options, maybe three. One is to, no matter what you do, you should take a step back and ask yourself, like, am I having fun doing this? And if the answer is no, stop doing it. And if you are having fun in some respects, try to understand what that is. And, you know, I guess my mindset's a little different because, you know, I was trying to make Elemental DPS do as good as it possibly could before, like, they were, I mean, they're still not really meta, but I was determined to do the best with Elemental that I could, right? And I didn't really care about where that fit into the larger meta. It's just, I like playing this class. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I want to do the best I can with it. And if something about class changes made it not fun to play, yeah, I get that. But at the same time, part of me thinks that if something was drastically changed about Elemental Shaman, about how they played, like, maybe I think, at least for me, that might make it more challenging, or a new challenge, and I might actually kind of like it. Even if it wasn't as good, I'd still be like, I want to do the best I can with this. I mean, like, I guess Electrify early on really sucked. I'm going to be honest. And I say that as literally the original architect of Electrify. I wasn't there to be like, how many stacks or what it actually does. I'm like, this is like an idea we could do, you know, like that kind of thing. Going from 5 stacks to 2, that's nicer. So that was something that was kind of in the way for me, but I actually kind of liked the challenge, because for me in Raid, I was like, maybe I can use unconscious dig rats to keep up my static shocks, like my static charges, right? Or maybe I could think of other ways to get static charges, you know. So it actually created a new problem for me. So I don't know, like, if that kind of thing can seem interesting to you, I think if you didn't like some of the Warlock changes, find what you like about it and try to challenge yourself to see what you can do with it. Outside of that, I mean, again, if you're not having fun, don't do it. For real. And the team sees that, like, for real. Like, they can tell who's playing what specs, who's playing what classes. They see that. When they see that, like, no one's doing subtlety in PvE, they're probably going to want to redesign that, No, Razzie, that was, by the way, that was a bad idea. I was just thinking, like, how can I keep Electrify stacks up? The answer was, don't worry about it. That was the answer. But it was something that I was thinking about. We still got there. I mean, I still did fine damage on... So, where is it? I think I'll bring up my... which one was it? Was it... It wasn't that one. I gotta find out which... No, not that one. That's, Market Watch. Okay, maybe I just lost it? Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. I mean, this is me. I reached 1200 DPS on Patchwork. That's pretty good. I was happy with that. And I had to deal with Electrify. So, okay, to be fair, I did get 8 shocks from the Broken Totem, which did help my damage considerably, but, we got there. It's part of the it's part of the exploring, right? That's kind of what it is for me, because I always tell people, like, I like exploring. I like figuring stuff out. That's why I'm like, if the database is not up, it's not a big deal. I think everyone enjoys different things about the game, and I'm not going to tell someone that no, they're wrong. If something about the game you don't like anymore, then, like, that's fair. Coletia says, I would like the idea of new theory crafting. If they weren't intention to kill everything, that could work on a Spellrat Paladin. Yeah, well, here's the thing. Some of the most fun I ever had on WoW, and, like, I'm about to date myself, but way back in the day, during original TBC, I was raiding Serpentshrine Cavern, and I was playing a mage. And back then, as it kind of is now, after Blackwing Lair, everything was just fire. You just go fire. They added a spell that didn't really do much in the game called Arcane Blast, but Tier 5 had this set bonus that was, like, ridiculous. And it made Arcane Blast possibly viable. And it was the first time, really, in the game's history where, in raiding, Arcane became viable, if not kind of better than Fire. And there were no guides. There were forum posts about people's, like, kind of like crazy people with signs on themselves, like saying the end is nigh, saying, like, Arcane Blast is the future. But I mean, like, what did that really mean? You'd still have to test it out. You'd have to see what it did. And figuring out that meta when it was, like, first happening was some of the most fun I ever had. So, like, to me, when stuff gets kind of shuffled up, messed around, it's like, well, hold on. Like, maybe there's something new here to figure out. Like, I think a lot of mages are like embracing arcane now over fire because of like all the craziness it does. And I think that kind of shakeup is healthy for a game community, so that not everybody gets so rigidly set in their ways. Maybe some people like being rigidly set in their ways. Oh yeah, Onega, it was ridiculous. Let me see if I can find a good way to bring that up. Terrace Fall Regalia. I actually remember the name of it. It also looked awesome. It was black and red. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. There it is. What else could you need? Look at that. Look at that lovely set. Alright, so let's see if you can... Alright, so it's the 2-set bonus. It says increase the damage and mana cost of Arcane Blast by 20%. That was like the big thing right there. And I mean, look, and you see these posts from like 2008, 2006. These were the people I was rubbing elbows with, talking about the same exact stuff. It was a wild time, but I think there's some place now for stuff like that to happen. Oh, Calitius, like, the real thing is, that's always been the thing. If I didn't find Blackwing Guard, who was like a good match for like my personality, kind of had like good vibes, like liked treating, respecting people in a similar way to how I am, I wouldn't be playing Turtle WoW anymore. I mean, for real. The people are what really make WoW a game. I mean, being honest, if you just played the game, it's kind of a mid game on its own. It's the people that make it special. Uriel Septim, by the way, oh, hello to the Emperor from Elder Scrolls. So nice that Arcane is finally usable. I mean, I'm not even joking. I've actually seen people in forums complain that they liked old Arcane's like low-key utility spec. And Arcane has issues. It actually does. Like, if you go Arcane, like, almost all your talent specs have to go in there. You're not really double dipping anywhere. There's no real hybridization with Arcane much anymore. You just go in there for mana conserving talents as a mage, you know. There's a lot of fun ideas there, but yeah. Coletia says, and also because in my quest to find the next spell ret meta, I've been competitive in my guild using Vendor Strike. I mean, listen, someone's got to use Vendor Strike. Man, like, why didn't shamans get pole arms? I love pole arms. That drives me nuts. As I'm not like some crazy military historian guy. That's not me. That is not me. But let's be honest. Like, spears are the superior weapon to use in militaries. They have reach. You can use them in phalanx formations. Like, You can throw them. Reach is everything in combat, right? But for some reason, like in fantasy, everything's about swords. It's all about swords, baby. That drives me up a wall. As a shaman main in the... Oh, yeah. Yeah. I will say, the team was asked about it. They said no. Okay. Also, Coletius, I mean, listen, I don't know if you're trying to get on my good side. It drives me up a wall that the most interesting quest chain about elemental lords doesn't involve shaman, whose entire conceit is elements. Why? Why do that? Onega said, I agree, polearm for shaman and mace for hunter. Wait, hunters can't do maces? Huh. Alright, I didn't realize that. Not that hunters have plenty, it's fine. Listen, I was happy that I was in support of rogues getting axes, and rogues got axes. Is there a lot of items to support rogues having axes? No. Is it really a big deal? No. But it fits my class fantasy, and that's what I wanted. Would they consider changing feral so you don't have to power... well, okay, so... Onega, like, you get it to one of the core issues, right? There are people that like power shifting. Are you going to tell them that they're wrong to play that way? You could. You might be right, you might be wrong. I think... Now, this is... Because, like... I understand a little bit about druids, and I would check in on, like, their threads and stuff. I think the idea was to make what was currently available closer to power shifting. So by comparison, power shifting would get weaker, right? But it would also mean that you don't have to do this thing. But like maybe at the absolute top tier, power shifting's still better. You know what I mean? So I think that's a fair approach. Coletius, you're not wrong. I mean, they got flavor on lock. Shamans have flavor on lock pretty well. Actually, all the hybrid classes have pretty good flavor. I'm not gonna lie. At least in Warcraft lore, not World of Warcraft, like Warcraft lore, they have lots of good stuff. Sorry, just checking a couple things out here. What? Hold on, wait a second. This is one of the few times I'm glad I checked Discord. Hold on, does it just... Oh, wait a minute. Will it make noise? It might make noise. I mean, is this actually Dragonovi? Okay, he's... He sent this at noon? How did I miss this? I don't know if this is something I can share. Okay. Sorry, I know you guys can't see this. I literally have a DM. I'm like 99% sure this is from Dragonovi, who is the itemization lead. And it looks like a bunch of class changes. Am I supposed to share that? Is this shared somewhere else? Is there wait, hold on. Does anyone see if there's any big forum posts? So like literally this is me. I went to go check to make sure I didn't have any like big messages or anything. Like, hey, like this, and I literally had one sitting right here. I mean, this was before I even said I was going to be streaming today, so sorry. I know. Oh wait, you know, I can message him back. Hold on. Okay, I see the message. I see the reason for sending it. He said, "Here's your early changelog update. We'll release it for everyone later." So I sent back, "Hey, is this okay to share yet?" Dang it. Dang it, we're so close. Wait a second. Hey, Lorazia, if you're still listening, just I have a question. Can druids use mighty rage potions? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, so for some reason, an old changelog update from Dragonovi showed up in my inbox as new. He must have sent me a message and then deleted it. Because I'm looking, the actual date on this is October 20th, 2024. What happened? Is Discord drunk? Okay, alright. Well, Onega, that is true in vanilla. Since the class changes, they made it so, because I remembered, I'm like, oh, druids can use rage potions, so what's this all about? Huh. Yeah, okay. Well, this is why I don't look at Discord, honestly. I'm so glad there's a streamer mode enabled that just shuts everything off. All right. Listen, I've been yapping for close to 3 hours now. I think I'm done yapping. What do you mean? What do you mean, no, nigga? Or was that the old message? That was the old message. Okay. Anyway, I think I'm good here. I hope you guys enjoyed the live Turtle WoW news. If you're watching this on VOD, let me know what you think. I know it's definitely not as concise as you might normally expect from me, but I definitely touched upon the same points, especially in the actual like first 2 hours, the programming, what I touched on in the radio news. Maybe you find this more useful. Maybe this is something you can listen to while you're doing something else. Let me know what you think, because I definitely like this kind of interaction. It's kind of weird when I do the news. It's sort of like a one-way conversation. And because I really appreciate and enjoy community interaction, so. Yeah, so I appreciate you saying that, Lizababs. Yeah. Thank you, Uriel Septim. It means a lot coming from you, because I know emperors, the weight of what they say matters a lot. And I think you were canonically voiced by Patrick Stewart, so that puts you even higher in my book. So I really appreciate you being here. Look after Tamrail. Don't just watch my stuff. Yeah. If I stream tomorrow, I might continue the Bulba Lock. I've been playing a lot of Stone Shard. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's like a fun little mercenary roguelike thing. Check it out. Test the vibe. As always, try it before you buy, if you know what I mean. But if you do like it, always give developers money. That's what I believe in. So until next time, take care of one another. Keep in mind that when you are playing video games, the goal is to have fun. And as always, remember, the deadliest weapon is knowledge. Hey guys.